Council meeting, which centers on enhancing mineral resource governance for economic growth and diversification, is obviously very timely. As you all know, the development of the mineral sector, particularly development that will take us away from depending on one source, is one of the cardinal objectives of this government under our leader, President Muhammadu Buhari. And I'm certain, by the will of God, sometime in the future, when we all reflect, we'll take great pride as having participated in this first National Council meeting in respect of a sector which we all neglected in the recent past. Because if we look back in history, we realize that about 100 years ago or thereabouts, Nigeria was a highly recognized center of mining activities. If you recall, Jos, it's a mining town, gold in Bida, coal in Enugu, and so many other minerals being tapped and developed that laid the solid foundation for what we are today before oil was discovered in 1956. Even though we are starting this late, but with the passion of this administration being driven by our president and ably supported by the Honorable Minister and his team, I'm sure we are going to go back to the days when really and truly we were recognized as a formidable mineral developing nation. And as experts, we rightly concede almost anywhere in Nigeria you dig and look and dig deeply, you will certainly find something that is going to be worthwhile for investors and for the nation. A typical example is what was identified as one of the richest nickel deposits just a few months ago in Kaduna State. Having said that, I sincerely hope that what we are starting today will serve as a foundation of a revolution, building up on capacities that we already have in the nation and what has been done before, so that really we can truly diversify our economy to be able to get the best out of our God-given natural resources for the development of our teeming people. The advantage we have as a nation is that with respect to almost all minerals, the system of prospecting, developing, and exploiting has already been perfected elsewhere. So really, it's for us to leverage on experiences of other nations and what they have been able to do so that we can leapfrog. And at this point, without preempting what I'm sure you are going to discuss, I personally believe the right partnership between the federal government, the states, and the host communities will truly make this a revolution that will be very beneficial for all of us. Before closing, I want us to be very, very mindful of two critical factors, because no matter how much benefits we get eventually from exploitation of minerals, as long as we do that at the expense of the health of our people and the degradation of the environment, then all these fundamental benefits are of no use whatsoever. With this, I thank you very much, and I welcome you to Abuja and Chidi.
Okay, they are not allowed to mine. No, okay. So can we put our hands together for him, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome Iti. Okay, they are not allowed to mine. No, okay. So can we put a house together for him, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome a state formally. I'm sure his record has not been surpassed till now. And as the Minister of Mines and Steel, until this sector surpasses oil, I will not rest. He's here with us for his keynote address. The Honorable Minister of
Thank you, my brother. I must start first by expressing my gratitude to my brother, Malam Mohammed Musabelo, Minister of Federal Capital Territory Administration, for honoring our invitation to be the guest of honor at this maiden edition of the National Council on Mining and Mineral Resources Development, organized by the Federal Ministry of Mines and Steel Development. Let me just stop a bit and welcome His Excellency the Governor of Kebbi State. I also thank everyone who has joined us from far and near in response to our invitation. Your presence with us is highly esteemed, and we thank you for honoring us. Indeed, the very impressive turnout at this event is both a testament and a promise. Our invitations to you all is a testament to the fact that this administration, led by our indefatigable leader, President Muhammadu Buhari, remains committed to our guiding ethos of collaboration, inclusion, and broad-based consultation of all stakeholders in policy formulation and implementation. Your own positive response to our call is a promise of greater impact and achievements in the sector, because progress is the expected outcome when all stakeholders in the sector are aligned with one vision and energized to achieve a set of goals. This is the essence of the National Council on Mining and Mineral Resources Development. The roadmap for this sector identified the need to improve on the engagement of stakeholders at the subnational level, particularly our state governments and host communities, in order to achieve more beneficial participation of these critical stakeholder groups in the mining sector, and this is exactly what this council is about. Other highlights of our roadmap aimed at rebuilding the sector and unlocking its full potentials include the aspiration to build a world-class minerals and mining ecosystem designed to serve a domestic target and export market for minerals and oils. We seek to rebuild market confidence in our minerals and mining sector and win over domestic users of industrial minerals in order to achieve import substitution. For us, we've identified key success factors in our implementation plan in rebuilding the mining sector. And these 6 key dimensions are a clear minerals and steel focus. Our industrial and energy minerals strategy prioritizes domestic utilization of our assets, including getting our steel sector to provide a solid backbone for the manufacturing and our industrial economy. The second is to rebuild and strengthen our institutions and improve on their governance. And we're rebuilding the organizational and functional capabilities of the supervising ministry and its agencies to ensure that the regulation and the laws are effectively enforced. Third is engaging critical stakeholders in order to improve the minerals and mining sector, and this is what this National Council is doing as a major step in that direction. We're also working to attract a diverse portfolio of participants, from artisanal miners to junior explorers to mining majors, into the industry. Our goal here is to build a sector that is competitive and supportive of our overall job creation and wealth generation aspirations for Nigerians. Of course, a key focus for us is improving on our geosciences data and information. You can't do mining without information, and if you don't dig, you won't find. So improving our collection and dissemination of geosciences data is a critical success factor. Access to finance is very key in mining, and mining is a capital-intensive sector, which is why we have commenced a systematic effort to de-risk and attract investment and development funding to the sector. And we started this 2 weeks ago with the launch of the 5 billion naira credit fund in partnership with the Bank of Industry for our artisanal and small-scale miners. We're of course also working to create a conducive environment that supports mining enterprises to thrive. In order to achieve all of these goals as contained in our roadmap for the growth and development of the mining industry, we have also empaneled a mining implementation strategy team, which is a think tank to help ensure that the above initiatives are properly executed and monitored in order to yield credible and tangible benefits. The National Council supports the aspirations and objectives of the roadmap, and it's designed to be a well-structured platform where stakeholders in the sector can converge periodically to develop policy advisory, validation, and other interventions, and to effectively guide government in achieving the full implementation of the roadmap and the achievement of the targets contained therein. From what I have heard of what has transpired in the last 2 days, I believe we're really moving closer to our goal in this direction, and I want to thank all participants for all the hard work. The focus of this inaugural edition of the National Council is mineral resources governance, and we're pleased to have in attendance participants drawn from the National and State Houses of Assembly, directors from ministries, commissioners and permanent secretaries of relevant federal ministries and states, agencies, parastatals, local government officials, our traditional institutions, our community leaders, women in mining, non-governmental organizations, members of the organized mining private sector, development partners, development finance institutions, and other stakeholders, local and international. And over the course of the past 2 days, these stakeholders have diligently deliberated on a number of thematic areas as follows. On mineral sector governance, the challenges of federal-state cooperation and collaboration. Illegal mining operations in Nigeria, overcoming the menace. Illegal mining and export challenges, policy recommendations. Effective monitoring of mine fields, imperatives for reduction of security challenges and economic sabotage. And finally, creating effective regulation and legal framework for the mining sector. I'm delighted to confirm that just yesterday I received a synthesis of the output of the deliberations, which has been compiled into a set of recommendations arising from the first edition of the National Council on Mining and Mineral Resources Development. And I'm sure that we will spend the rest of today deliberating on those recommendations and agreeing them as the way forward. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, with this hosting of the inaugural edition of the National Council, I believe we have covered a major milestone in the implementation of the roadmap for the sector, and at the same time set in motion a chain of positive outcomes. As we look to the future, we remain focused on working with stakeholders to deliver on all other provisions of the roadmap. It is clear to us that even though mining is in the exclusive preserve of the federal government in our constitution, we cannot succeed if we do not work very closely with our states and our host communities. And it is encouraging to note that we have the partnership of our states and host communities here in order for us to collectively and collaboratively achieve that expected result. For example, one highlight of the roadmap is to achieve, through stakeholders' engagement, an increasing amount of mining contribution to GDP and the delivery of shared prosperity to all stakeholders in all aspects of the mining value chain: exploration, mining, beneficiation, and trade. And I can tell you that even at the Federal Executive Council yesterday, where we reviewed the new figures as we got out of recession from the last 5 quarters of excruciating challenges, it was clear to us from those figures that agriculture and mining were the drivers of our progress out of recession. Already, we have achieved a 300% increase in revenue, royalties, and fees between 2015 and 2016. And as of July of this year, the sector had already surpassed the entire revenue of $3 billion generated for the whole of 2016. And yet, we have only just scratched the surface. We are starting in the ministry a revenue management drive that would enable us to do a back audit over the last 6 years of the gaps and the underpayments that clearly have been the bane of this sector over the last few years. Other key achievements we have recorded so far in line with the roadmap include the operationalization of the Nigerian Solid Minerals Development Fund, whose board was sworn in 2 months ago to provide financing to projects in the sector. And in collaboration with the Bank of Industry, the SMDF, through the ministry, has launched a 5 billion naira fund to provide single-digit interest loans at the rate of 5% to mining projects all across the country for artisanal and small-scale miners. Also, we have secured approval to access 30 billion naira from the Natural Resource Development Fund for the very first time for the promotion of exploration of new minerals and to strengthen the regulatory capacity of the ministry. In addition to this, the ministry, through the federal government, has secured a $150 million facility from the World Bank to commence the mining diversification project aimed at funding strategic interventions in the sector. We are also actively in discussions with both the Nigerian Stock Exchange and the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority to assemble a $600 million investment fund for the sector, working with these entities and also with some external players. This is a considerable departure from what we met when we arrived at the ministry in November 2015, when out of the 1 billion naira meager allocation to the ministry, only 352 million naira was released. The institutional capacities of the ministry and its agency are also being strengthened to effectively regulate the sector, with a particular focus on mine safety and security. A new partnership has been forged with our security agencies in order to activate our mine surveillance task force. And here I must pay particular commendation to the Nigerian Civil Defense Authority as well as the Nigerian Police Force, who have all actively collaborated with us in ensuring that this task force becomes alive to its responsibilities. For the first time in 30 years, the police has re-established the mines police. Those who have been involved in mining in the past will remember that we used to have a mines police headquartered in Jos. But with the discovery of oil, just as the Minister of FCT said, mines police also disappeared from the scene. But now we have reactivated mines police. A commissioner of police has been appointed for mines police. He operates out of our offices here in Abuja, and there are departments and men of the mines police all over the country. The civil defense are doing exactly the same, and they are working with us closely on this. The National Security Advisor is very committed to this. He was actively involved in a sting operation that we recently undertook in Wase, in Zurich, Plateau State. The National Security Advisor was there with me and the governor when we undertook that particular task and apprehended people who were involved in illegal mining of our lead and zinc in that place. So we're not relenting, because the only way we can enhance the credibility of this sector is to also protect the sanctity of the licenses that we give operators. If operators who have been properly licensed get to their mining site and they cannot even access it due to the activities of illegal miners, then our licenses will not be worth the paper they're written on. So it is absolutely important to us that we protect our miners, be they local or foreign, and also ensure that the consent from the host communities are also backed up by the support of our state governments. So for us, it is absolutely important that we improve the efficiency of our mining cadastral office and the administration of mineral titles. And this, the MCO has been meeting the target of consistently issuing licenses to applicants within 30 to 45 days as stipulated in the Nigerian Mining and Minerals Act 2007. Not only bring the complex into effective use, but also to ensure that we're equally resolving.
I'd like to welcome Senator Engineer Mustafa Bukar, Vice Chairman, Senate Committee on Power, Steel Development and Metallurgy, for his own 2 minutes. I don't know if I'm able to do that. Okay, thank you, sir.
Really, congratulations to the Honorable Minister of Mines and Steel Development for this maiden edition of the Council meeting. I think his speech has clearly indicated the journey this current administration has taken us as far as the issue of mines and steel development are concerned. He has given us a concrete, or at least